All right, before I continue modeling, it'd be a good idea to save the project. I haven't done that. So just come on up here to File and just click Save. Typically, just use the Control S keyboard shortcut to be saving every so often. You don't want to lose all this information. So I'm going to keep panning around, and all I'm trying to do is show you different ways of modeling this floor plan. And as I look around, I can see that this has, on this example here, on that face, if I just double click in here, I see that that face is reversed. So I'm just going to select it, right click it, and go to reverse faces. And then I'll look at the other side also. This isn't quite necessary right now, but these are just some good habits to build. All right, so let me go ahead and continue. Now I'm in the model. I am now I'm in the group. I'm purposely going to exit the group. And like I did before, by accident, I was modeling some information over here and I was not in the group. And I want to repeat that again, just so you can see how to resolve that issue. I'm not going to call it a problem because it's not. It's just different ways of modeling. So let's say I'm not in the group purposely, and I want to finish modeling this set of walls over here. So I'm going to come in, and whatever technique, whether you draw the lines to create the surface, whether you draw multiple rectangles, however you want to do it is fine. I'll just go ahead and type L right now for line, and I'll start drawing a line from here, going across, and then just tracing the line work that's there. And as I do this, just make sure that your AutoCAD drawing is exact or perfect, meaning that you've used the object snaps as you should have, because if not, you're going to run into some issues when it comes time to model. So be real careful with that. Okay, now I'll just go ahead and type P for push pull. I'm going to click right here on the surface, come straight up, and then just let it click on that endpoint in the group. And then I'm going to tap the space bar. Now, this is not a group yet, and that's fine. I'm going to triple click. And then I'm going to right click, and I normally would make a group, but there's no need to make a group right now. What I want to do is actually just copy it. So in other versions, I believe the online version, you can copy when you right click, but right now I can't. So let me just come up here, and with everything selected, just go to edit and copy. Keyboard shortcut is Control C. And actually, I should not have done copy. I should have done a cut. So let me do edit, cut. So Control X. So I'm cutting that out. Then I will double click into the group. Now I go to edit and I click paste in place. And this now gets added to the group. And then I will click away from those objects while staying in the group like this. And I just want to turn X-ray mode on and erase some additional lines that are not needed. And if you're not sure if the lines down at the bottom should be there or not, just go ahead and turn off the wall layer. You can see that that is a line that should not be there. So I'm going to type E for erase. I'll erase that line. And again, this is only possible in the X-ray mode. I'll erase that one and that one. And now all of this is part of the same group. I'll turn off X-ray mode and then spacebar and click outside. And then when I select the object, I'm noticing that it doesn't have a volume. And I'm realizing that I forgot to erase this line right here. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to give my group a double click, go back to my X-ray mode, and then type E for erase, erase this line, and then erase this line. It looks like that's all. So then I will use my space bar again, click outside of my group, turn off the X-ray mode, check my group here, and I see that it has a volume again. Okay. And like I said, it's not that critical, but when it comes time to use these solid tools, it will matter. All right. To continue, I'm going to turn my AWOLs back on. Also, I remember that I have this on a foundation. And what I had done was I had hid that. So I'm going to go over here to Edit, Unhide, and I'm going to select All. And what I'd like to do is instead of hiding this all the time, I want to tag it so that I can turn the tag on and off. So what I'm going to do is this. In my tags, I'm going to click on this plus sign where it says to add tag. I click on that. The tag I want to make here is for the foundation of the building. So I'm going to type foundation and then enter. Now, what I like to do a lot of times is to separate my 2D line work from my 3D model. And this is an old habit that I have when I used to model in AutoCAD. So I'm going to go into this foundation. I'm going to click on it one time and then I'll double click it. And I'm going to change that name and just go 3D, enter. And there's the name and I need to expand this. So that way I know that anything with an A in front of it is going to be part of my AutoCAD architectural set of layers, which are now tags here. And then anything with a 3D is part of my model here. With that done, I'm now going to come over here to this, what I'm referring to as my foundation, right? And I have that selected, and then I go over to my entity info, and right now it says tag untagged, and I'm going to tag it so that it is tagged 3D foundation. And then I'll click off of it. And now when I don't want to see it, I turn off the tag and that goes away. So it's just another way of manipulating all of the objects that you have created here in the SketchUp model. Okay, so I'm going to continue. And I'll put the set of walls in here. And let me do it, a different way. But still, I'm going to one more time practice this concept of creating the objects and then adding them to the group. So right now, nothing is selected. And I'll go ahead and draw some rectangles here. So one rectangle there. I'll put another one here, another one here, and then one more right there. Actually, I think what I'll do to show you a different way of drawing these doors is I'll just do this, or the door openings rather. And then I'll go ahead and draw a rectangle here like that. Okay, tap the space bar. I'm going to turn off my walls so that I can see what I have here. And then I'll just go ahead and erase. So I'm going to erase this one. And it looks like that should not have erased the entire line. That's interesting. So let me edit undo that. And I'm going to zoom in here and see what's going on because that should not have been the case. And look at this. See how that is not touching? And that easily could have been a mistake on my part when I was drawing the rectangles. These things are going to happen. Don't be surprised. So I'm going to zoom right back out. I'm going to tap the space bar. I'm going to turn my wall layer back on and see exactly what happened here. So if I zoom in, I can see that. Let me zoom it back out a little bit. This line right here, the one that right now is highlighted, notice how it tells me it's untagged and it's part of this component definition. That is the correct line. So when I drew this surface, or yeah, when I drew this rectangle, I didn't do it right. So that's on me. So I'm going to zoom out like this, and I'm going to give that a double click, and then I'm going to tap delete. And then over here, I'm also going to double click that and delete it because I don't know if this is actually touching. I mean, I could zoom in, which I'll do right now. And sometimes it's a little tricky to zoom in, but that looks like it is in the right spot. So maybe I don't delete that one. I'll leave that alone. And then I'll continue over here. And let's do this again. I'll draw another rectangle and I'll start at this endpoint. I'll take it over to this endpoint. Okay. And then I'll try to erase again. Let's see, E for erase, and just click on this. And now it erased everything. So that's really interesting. So I'm going to undo that and then tap the space bar and then double click on this surface and then delete it. It's sometimes easier just to start all over. So I'm going to draw another rectangle and I'll pick a couple of different corners from what I think I picked earlier. So I'll click right here where it says endpoint, and then I'll take it to this endpoint and then tap the space bar. And now if I click on that line, notice how it's just highlighting that one line, which is what I want. Let's see if I type E for erase and click on it. No, it seems to be taking everything out. So this could be an error on my part on my DWG file. And these things, like I said, are going to happen. And I'm really glad that it's occurring to me here when I do this. So I'm going to switch gears now and type P, or I'm sorry, L for line. So I can use my pencil and I'll just go around like this and just take it to the end there. And notice how now that fills in. And I'm not sure what the issue was, but this is a solution to that. So I'm going to tap the space bar and I'll go back to what I was doing earlier, which is erasing. So I'll type E. I'll erase this line, this one here. And I think I want to keep this separate to do things just a little differently. So I'll go ahead and tap the space bar and then I will type P for push pull and I'll take this, click on it, take it straight up and then let it snap right there to that endpoint. I'll take this surface also, click on it, let that go up, up, and then I'll let it snap to any one of these endpoints because that'll give me the correct height. All right. And then here's what I'm going to do. Before I push pull this, I'm going to turn on my X-ray mode, my style there. And this is what I mean about all of these lines. I'm going to be real careful. If I look over here, I know that that's the height I want to achieve. So I'm going to click right there when it highlights that surface, give it one click, take it up, and I want it to align to that endpoint. You see how it's finding that endpoint? I'm going to orbit so you can see exactly what's happening. So it's finding the top right there to match the height of the opening I just put in. I could easily type in the distance 6'8", but it's so much easier to just click on existing points and use those as constraints. So I'll give that a click and then I'll come back over here, tap my control key. I'll tap the control key again. Sometimes it doesn't take the first time and that's all right. So now that with the plus sign there, I'll go ahead and click and then take this up right there. And then I'll go ahead and start erasing extra lines that I do not need. Also erasing surfaces. Now I'll tap the space bar and I'll click on this surface. It's highlighted, but if you have trouble seeing it highlighted, go ahead and turn off this X-ray mode. And you'll see now it's easier to see. So I'll just tap delete and then I'll click here and I'll tap delete there. And you'll notice what it's doing is it is erasing or removing some line work here that probably initially was not there. So here's what I'm going to do to make it easier just to focus on this area. Just for this one moment, I'll take that set or this group that makes up the walls that I have. I'll right click that and hide it. That way it's just easier to look around. And I'm also going to turn off my A walls like this. Okay. So you'll notice over here, this looks right because I have a surface there. But when I look at it under here, let's see, that is a surface also, but I appear to be missing a surface right here. So I'm going to draw a line from the bottom here across. And notice how that fills it in. Great. And it's also gone ahead and filled the area at the bottom in as well. And I don't need that, so I'm going to type E, and I'll erase this line and this one. I'm just clicking and dragging across the lines. All right. Then I'll go back to my X-ray mode here and I'll start to erase lines that are extras. There we go. I'll tap the spacebar and I will turn off X-ray. And then I'm going to come over here to edit, unhide, last. It'll bring back the walls. Okay. Now I will triple click and then I'm going to come up here to edit. And I remember it has to be cut, not copy. So I will cut so it removes it. Goes into the Windows clipboard. I double click into my group and then I'll go to the drop down, edit, paste in place. And it has added that to the group. And then go back to X-ray mode. And first of all, I don't want that highlight, so I'm going to click away from it. And then I'll type E for erase. And I'll erase some extra lines that are not needed. And if you're having trouble viewing it through all of these surfaces, transparent surfaces, go ahead and just go to the underside like this. And then just click on the extra lines that we don't need. And I'll zoom out some more. And then sometimes I just like to take a good look at everything in case I missed some extra lines previously. All right, looks okay. Tapping the space bar, turning off X-ray, and this is what I have, my set of walls. Now, I'll turn on my A walls again here, and I'm also going to turn off the 3D foundation. There we go. And now what I'd like to do is put in this wall and get ready for that opening. And I'll do this just a little different because I do want to start showing you some of these solid tools. So let me finish this door opening. And you know what I'll do? Yeah, I'll show you a couple of ways. Yeah, let's do this. I will type P for push pull. I'm going to take this wall, click here, and I'm just going to take it all the way across until it lines up with that endpoint. I'll do the same thing with this one. Click right here on that surface, take it across, and then I can't seem to find the point. So if needed, turn on X-ray so that you can identify those endpoints that are hiding. So I'll click right there and then turn X-ray off. All right. I'm going to continue now. So watch this, another way to draw walls. I've been doing everything from the ground up, but now I'm going to take a rectangle and I'm going to pick this endpoint right here. And I'm going to come across and I'm going to pick this endpoint. And this is assuming that everything is perfect. My lines were orthogonal when I brought in my DWG, so it should work out. And if you have any discrepancies, then try doing it a different way or double check that AutoCAD drawing. So I'm going to click right here. And what it did, interesting here, is that it just assumes that I wanted to close that whole area off, which I don't. So I'll tap the space bar. I will click on this surface, tap the delete key, click on this surface, tap the delete key. And what I'm left with now is this wall here. Oh, and I'm also noticing that it put in a floor or a surface on the floor. So I'm going to take that, tap the delete key, and then click over here and tap the delete key. And just to make sure, I'm going to orbit and okay, nothing on the bottom. Great. And then I'll bring it over to this side. And I know that my wall is 5 inches thick. So I'm going to type P for push pull, click here, and I could type 5, but I'm just going to let it snap to that endpoint right there. There we go. And notice this wall. Oh, interesting. So notice how it removed this other side. This happens every so often. Again, I'm glad this is happening to me so that you can see how to resolve this. So here's what you'll do. Edit, undo that push pull. So what's happening? If I draw that and I click here, It just wants to start bringing it out, partly because it's attached or connected to some other solids there, and it's not doing exactly what I want. So the trick here is that I actually want to copy that face over. So I tap the control key and tap it again, make sure it takes. There we go. And now it will generate that solid that I want. All right. So I'll just go ahead and click right here. Done. And then I'll orbit back and you see that it is a solid. All right. Spacebar. And then I go back to my X-ray mode. And it looks like this is the only line I don't need right now. So I'm going to type E and I'm going to zoom in real close so I don't accidentally erase a different line. I'll erase this one and I'm realizing this one also can go. Zoom it out. I don't think there's anything at the bottom. Let's see, turn off A wall. Oh yeah, there is an extra line there. So I'm going to just click on that and erase it. Come over this way. There's some extra lines here. So I'm going to erase this one. Obviously, there's one at the bottom also, so I'll erase that. Same thing over here. Erase this one and erase that one. And then over on the other side, erasing this one and that one. And I think that should do it. Okay. And I know that there should be two doors on either side and then an opening here. And that's what I want to show you how to do things a little different. So I'll tap the space bar, turn off X-ray, and this is what I have so far. Okay, time to put in that opening. So that opening, I want it to be either 7 or 8 feet. I'm not sure. So here's what I would do. I'm going to come over to this side like this. And basically I need a line right up here at the top. And I already have a line down here at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is copy that line. So let me just orbit. And it gets a little tricky. Trying to manipulate that space, so be patient with yourselves. So I have that line highlighted, and I'm going to type M for move. And then I'm going to pick this endpoint like this. And then I'm going to start to move that line. But I want to make sure it goes straight up, so I'm going to use my up arrow key so that it constrains to blue. Now, interesting things are happening here, but I want to make a copy. So I am moving the line. It is constrained to the blue axis. And now I just need to tap the control key like that. And I want to take it up. And I know that I want this to be, let's say, 8 feet high. So I'm going to type in 8 feet. And you see that down in the lower right-hand corner where it says distance. I didn't move my cursor in that location. I'm just typing 8 feet. And then I enter. So now I've created that line where I want my opening, and then I tap the space bar. And then I'm just going to click on this surface to make sure that it is separated out, which it is. And then I just want to push that in. So I type P for push pull, click on it, and I'm going to push it through. You see that? And notice what it's doing. It's stopping where it says offset limit to 5 inches. That means it's finding that other surface, that other face on the opposite side. And that's what I wanted to do. See how it says on face? And all I have to do now is click. And by doing that, it's removed that area. So that works out real nice. Okay. I'm going to tap the space bar and Control S to save. All right. And I need to continue. So I need to get 2 more openings, one for each one of the bedrooms. I'm going to click off of my group, and then I'm going to click on it one time here. And I'm doing this on purpose. I'm going to the entity info, and it says I have a volume. Great. That means it's recognizing it as a solid, which means I'll be able to use my solid tools. All right. So next thing is the 2 openings. I'm going to see if I can do both of these at once. I'm going to turn on my A wall layer. And because I've drawn over it, I can't see it. And that's okay. If I turn on my X-ray mode, I can see that there are lines there. So I do have a couple of lines that represent the opening on both sides. And I'm thinking ahead. And because I want to kind of isolate some things here, I'm going to set up a new tag. So let me turn off my X-ray mode. And then I'm going to come over here to tags. I'm going to click on add tag. And this is going to be my 3D walls tag. And I'll enter. And I'm going to select this group and I'm going to tag that group 3D walls. Done. I'm doing that on purpose so that I can turn off the walls, turn them on. But in my case, I want them off and I want to have my wall layer on because I want to focus on these two openings right here. So here's what I'm going to do. I know that they're aligned to one another. So I'm going to draw a rectangle from this endpoint over to this endpoint. Now, the height of my doors, they are 6'8" plus 2 inches for the frame is 6'10". And if you don't want to do it that way, those are residential door heights. If you want to go with a door that's 7 foot tall and then add a 2-inch frame, that's fine also. It doesn't matter at this point. You're learning how to model. That's what's critical here. But I will stick to my 6'8" door height. So I'm going to type P for push pull. I'm going to take this, click on the surface, take it up 6'8", enter. But I'm forgetting my 2-inch frame. So I'm going to give it one more click and I'm going to take it up 2 inches. And to make sure that I am at 6'10", I'm going to come up here to this measuring tape measure, click on it, and I'm just going to measure the height from this point up, and it tells me it's 6'10". Now, I am not going to click because it's going to drop in this guideline. I don't need that. I'm just going to tap the escape key. To avoid seeing that guideline, I could have picked this endpoint here, and as long as it's tracking along a line, it's not going to give me that guideline. And then I just hover right there and it says 6'10". Great. I'm going to tap the escape key and spacebar. Now, this needs to be a solid. And before I make a solid, right now it's lining up right here with this edge. I want to bring it in. And you'll see why when I start to use my solid. So I'm going to type P for push pull. Sorry, and it's already highlighting that surface. Let me go ahead and tap my escape key and then click on this surface. And I'm just going to bring it out this far. No exact distance. I just wanted to go past that door or that wall width. So I'll click there. And then over here, I'll do the same thing. Click here and bring it back right about there and click. Okay. Spacebar and then triple click. And then right click and make group. So this is now a group. Now let me bring back my 3D walls. And you'll see where that group is in relation to my walls. Right where it should be. Okay. So I have that new group selected and it says that it has a volume. The value doesn't matter so long as it has a volume. When I click on my walls, those also have a value, or sorry, a volume. So since both of them have volumes, that means that they are recognized as solids. So I can go ahead and use my solids tools. Now, I don't use them that often. And for some reason, every time I try to do things the right way, I end up running into some mistakes. But I talk to myself and I walk myself through it. So hopefully I'm going to get this right. What I'd like to do is subtract. I want to remove this solid here from this one so that it leaves 2 openings. So I'm going to click away from both of them. I come up to my solid tools right here. This one says it combines multiple solids. I don't want that one. This one gives me an intersection of solids. This one over here creates a union. Great. This one is the one I believe I want to use, which is subtract. And then this other one trims it, and this one does a split. So this is the one I want. Now, it says it will subtract one solid from a second selected solid and keep only the end result. But I find it difficult sometimes to figure out what they mean by which one is the first solid and which one is the second. But it says it will subtract one solid from a second. So I'm assuming that the one solid is going to be this one here. I'll try that and see how it goes. So I'm going to click on subtract. I give it one click. I move my cursor out of the way, and then it says select the first solid. And here's the numbers. It's showing you a number there. So I believe this is the one I should pick first. We'll find out. So I pick this solid first. It says select first solid. I'll pick this one. And then select the second solid, that one. Let's see what happens. And it worked. So I read that right this time. And just to recap, and let me go to edit, undo, subtract, right? It's taking this solid group, I select it, and it's going to subtract it from this one. When I click, it's just removing wherever it is that those two solids would be intersecting one another. So keep that in mind. It's a way of creating these openings. So I'm just trying to make you aware of all these different tools that you can use so you too can be effective and efficient in your modeling. So I'll tap the space bar now, zoom this out, take a look at it, and then click off of it. I'll turn on my 3D foundation, and I'm in the process of creating my building. All right, maybe now's a good time to pause, because next thing that I need to do is put in my doors and windows.